Welcome back to Quilt in Color. My name is Shalina. I'm so happy that you came back to sew along with me during the 15 Minutes to Quilt Challenge. I hope that you sew along with me so that you can enter to win prizes. Today I'm going to be working on a quilt that I haven't shown you before. It's a pattern called Sweet Land of Liberty by Cheri Payne. It's a nice whimsical quilt. It has piece blocks as well as applique blocks. Today I'm going to be making a churn dash block that's going to serve as a frame for an applique block. I don't have the pattern for this quilt. Before Cheri passed away, she gave Lori D. Jarnett of Humble Quilts permission to provide directions on Lori's blog. So Lori did provide some directions on her blog. Basically, she tells you the size of the blocks and what the pattern looks like, but she does not provide specific patterns. So if you don't have the particular applique pattern, you have to create it yourself or find another place to find it. And since Cheri reuses some of her designs from one quilt to another, you can find a particular motif in another one of her patterns, or you can just make another one up of your own. I really like this idea of making it in a scrappy way, just a folk artsy way. The way Cheri probably designed it herself is that you just make the blocks that you feel would work for your quilt and then find a way to fit them together. For this particular churn dash, I'm not going to use the same applique that Cheri used. I'll find something else to put in that place, but I don't need to worry about that now. We'll just worry about creating the frame, and then I'll work on the applique after. So let's make an improv churn dash block. Let's get started. Okay, let's see what is in this container. There's some patterns that I collected for this quilt. Some of them are actually for different patterns. Move those out of the way. And then there's some fabric scraps. Now this quilt mostly uses patriotic fabric, so I think this fabric I think will work really well for the center of the block, so let's use that. And then I need some fabric to surround the block. I need a dark fabric that's going to surround the block, and I can use one or more. I like this blue. Okay, I've chosen the fabric for this quilt. What I want to do is to use this as my background fabric. This fabric will be inside. It'll be the inside sashing strip. I kind of like this green too, so I'm going to use that one just to add a little bit of zaniness to the quilt. And then I think I can use at least some of this for the outside sashing. And I'll have to see what else I can do for the, and maybe this one for the rest of it if I still need more. And then for the half square triangles in the churn dash, I chose some orange fabrics, which I really like how that kind of looks with this quilt. Remember that I had those half square triangles that I had made a mistake with last time. And this one is a blue one, which I think would work fine for this quilt. So maybe I can just use these here. Because this is an improv quilt, any mistakes here on this block will be fine in this quilt. And then I also have the red, which I think will also work well with this quilt. And even though I was kind of looking forward to the orange in here, I do think that these blocks will work fine, and I can put the orange somewhere else in the quilt. So let's get started with cutting these. So these dark strips and the light strips are cut at 1 inch. So I just need to cut 1 inch strips out of all of these darks. This one will be the easiest to cut because it's already a small piece anyway. Oh, it's going this way. That's fine, I only need a little bit anyway. I can still fold it in half, do a straightening cut. that the selvage? Doesn't seem thick. I think it'll be fine. Okay. This is cut at 1 inch because it's going to finish at 1/2 inch. And I only need 8.5 inch. Okay, there's one piece ready. Or trying to save it, another option I have is to just use it all the way around the frame and use these other fabrics for someplace else, but I like the idea of having a whole bunch of different fabrics in this block. This one's a washed fabric. From back in the day when I'd washed fabrics before I used them. Okay, here's one. Center pretty well in the things. The dots are centered pretty well in the fabric. If I had used one fabric for go all the way around, it would have been a great way to strip piece, to attach them all to the background square, to the background strip, and make them all that way. But since they're all separate, they all need to be separately cut. Since they're all different, they all need to be separately cut. So there's 3. And then the last one. This one is cut wider than the other ones are. And my initial reaction is to fix that and to cut it smaller. But because this is an improv quilt, I wonder if maybe it would be better for me to just leave it bigger, just to have that whimsical look. And then these are not 1-inch strips. And I think I'm going to go ahead and just use them the way they are, and then trim the block down later to match the half square triangles. So maybe 2 of these. Okay, so these need to be sewn together. And then I need to cut the center 8.5 inch. Looks like there's a chunk taken out of this fabric already. Hope that it's not right next to this block. For this block, I'm going to just arrange the blocks in the quilt in any way that works for me, so I'm not worried about these fabrics being real close to each other. So if the block next to it, use this chunk that's here, I can easily just move that block somewhere else in the quilt so that there's more variety in the process. Kind of debating cutting another chunk in here instead of cutting it square. The ruler's right here. So I need it to be a little bit bigger than this. I can just fold this in half so I can get 4 inches this way. I need more than that because of the selvage. I'm going to have to trim off the selvage too. So I'll maybe cut a 5-inch fold. I need 8.5 this way. I'll cut 9. And this, because it's on the fold, will be fine if I just cut here, I think. Make sure you can see. So I'm going to cut this to be bigger than 8.5, and then I'm going to cut this to be 5 inches because I can trim off the, I'm not sure if it's folded right. Okay, let's make sure it's folded straight. Okay. Okay, I can do this. This is an awkward angle here, the way I have it laid out. Fine. Cut off. Now I can trim it to 8.5. Okay. Being particularly careful today because I'm on camera, but generally this is, because it's an improv type of quilt, it really doesn't need this kind of precision. Okay, so that's 8.5. If I did it right, it'll be a square, which it is. Okay. So I've got the center. I've got the sides. Put the blues next to each other, across from each other. I can actually use the leftover from this block to make one of the sashing strips. And then for the half square triangles, I think I can get, I'm going to get more than I need for this one. Because these blocks are bigger than what I need for the sashing. I can actually cut this up into 2 parts. So if I cut this in half, I have my half square triangle already. And there's another half square triangle on this side. That's big enough, I think, for this. And then I also have 2 more half square triangles that I can use for this quilt. So I'll just put this aside, and then this, and I'll put these aside. I can put them somewhere else in the quilt. And then I think I do want to use the red. It's a bright red. Maybe it's too bright for this quilt, I don't know. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and use all of these, and that way I don't have to worry about using it later. Yeah, I think I do like this block, and that I think that red is too bright for this quilt. Now you may be wondering about why I'm just cutting it by scissors. So this is, again, is a very improv quilt, so if I put this here and I realize that it's too small, I can always just sash it with something else to make it big enough. So I'm not really worried about the size at all, and the fact that it's not like a perfect half square triangle because it looks like it's a little longer. I think it's actually perfect to make it give it that wonky look. So I'm going to go ahead and just sew these as big as they are, and then once I'm done I can just trim off the rest as I need. I've gone ahead and finished sewing up my churn dash block. I think it turned out pretty good. I really like the variety of fabrics that we have in each of the pieces. I will need to trim down the block at some point because these blocks don't go all the way to the edge, but I knew that that was a plan going in. It's really difficult for me to switch back and forth from precise quilting to improv quilting. It's just really hard for me to work on improv, but at least the corners are improv, and this one is going the wrong direction, but I'm debating whether or not I should just leave it in going in the wrong direction. So for now I'm just going to leave it there, and then I'm going to plan out something to applique into the center. Appliquing something in the center block here to use for my Sweet Land of Liberty quilt. I hope that you enjoyed watching this churn dash block come to life, and I hope that you got a chance to sew along with me so that you can enter to win a prize. I'm giving away 2 copies of a book that I wrote especially for quilters, and I think that you're really going to love it. There are 2 really easy ways for you to enter in the drawing. The first way is to just sew for 15 minutes, and if you sewed for 15 minutes today, simply leave a comment to let me know what you worked on today. The second way is to just watch this video, and if you did that, just leave a comment about something that happened in today's video. So there's a total of 2 ways that you can enter per day. I don't know where my blocks are, but I do have this container here that has some fabric in it, as well as some patterns that I'm going to be using for this quilt. But I do have some photos from my blog that I can show you. Once January comes, I'm going to be cleaning my sewing room, and hopefully I'll find the rest of the Sweet Land of Liberty blocks. Then I can put my churn dash with them so they can all be one big happy family. Thank you for watching. I appreciate all of your support, and I'll see you in the next video.